Leadership responsibilities in conflict management involves proactively guiding teams through disagreements to build trust and foster psychological safety. Effective leaders use active listening, emotional intelligence, and neutrality to address root causes, transforming inevitable workplace disputes into opportunities for collaboration and stronger team cohesion. A leader's role in conflict management is to act as a neutral guide rather than an authoritative judge. Effective leaders foster a psychologically safe environment, model constructive communication, and empower their teams to resolve disagreements independently. Effective workplace conflict management requires early intervention, active listening, and a focus on behaviors rather than personalities. By addressing issues proactively and facilitating open dialogue, managers can transform disruptive disagreements into opportunities for collaboration and team growth. Conflict resolution is vital in the workplace because it prevents toxic environments, reduces stress, and transforms disputes into catalysts for innovation. By addressing disagreements proactively, organizations boost team collaboration, improve employee retention, and protect their bottom line. Key reasons why conflict resolution is essential include: protects productivity and focus. Unresolved tension diverts employee attention away from their core tasks. Resolving conflicts quickly restores focus and prevents costly dips in daily output. Improves employee retention. Employees who feel their concerns are dismissed or ignored are far more likely to leave. Proper resolution fosters psychological safety and boosts loyalty. Reduces stress and absenteeism. Interpersonal friction causes high stress, which often leads to unscheduled absences and burnout. Strengthens communication. The process requires active listening and empathy. Successfully navigating these conversations improves overall team dynamics and builds mutual respect. And drives innovation. When handled openly and respectfully, disagreements expose different perspectives. This diversity of thought can lead to better decision-making and creative problem-solving. Choosing the right leadership style in conflict management is vital because it maintains stability, builds trust, and turns disagreements into growth. Using a flexible approach prevents minor issues from turning into major problems. The leadership styles commonly found in conflict management include: collaborating. A collaborative leadership style is a management approach that emphasizes shared decision-making, open communication, and collective problem-solving. It replaces traditional top-down control with teamwork and mutual trust. Here the leader focuses on problem-solving by listening to all needs to find an equitable, win-win solution. Compromising. The compromising leadership style is a conflict resolution approach focused on finding a middle ground where every party gives up something to reach a fast, fair agreement. The leader is seeking mutually acceptable middle ground solutions where everyone gives up a little to gain a little. Accommodating. An accommodating leadership style, often linked to the obliging or country club management style, is a way of leading that places a high value on people and group harmony while showing low assertiveness for personal goals or strict tasks. Leaders who use this style put team feelings first, yield to others to keep the peace, and focus heavily on building strong, friendly bond. Avoiding. Avoidant leadership is a passive management style where leaders sidestep hard decisions, avoid direct conflict, and delay tough conversations to maintain surface harmony. Driven by a fear of conflict or failure, this behavior often manifests as laissez-faire abandonment, leaving teams without clear direction, unaddressed performance issues, and eroded trust. Here is leader employs delaying actions or steers clear of the issue. This is best utilized for trivial disagreements or when tempers need to cool down. And competing. The competing leadership style, also known as the dominating or forcing style, is a high assertiveness, low cooperativeness approach where a leader prioritizes results and goals over group harmony or consensus. It operates on a win-lose mindset, meaning the leader pushes their own solution through using authority. The leader utilizes his or her formal authority to push through a quick, decisive resolution. This method is typically reserved for high-stakes or emergency situations. Now let's look at some best practices for conflict resolution. The first is to intervene early. Early intervention in conflict management is the practice of addressing and resolving disagreements when they first appear, before they turn into major problems. Key actions include spotting early warning signs, encouraging open talk, and using neutral support. Why is intervening early important? Here are some reasons. Prevents escalation. Stops issues from spiraling into formal grievances or toxic stalemates in work environments. Preserves trust. Keeps psychological safety and collaboration intact before defensive walls go up. And lowers costs. Reduces emotional toll and financial impact before formal processes are required. Second is to listen actively. Active listening and conflict resolution is a communication process that requires giving full attention, reflecting back the speaker's words, and validating their emotions to de-escalate tension and reach a mutual understanding. Core practices involve paraphrasing key points, asking open-ended questions, and setting aside your own agenda. Practice empathy by letting employees share their perspectives without interruption. Ensure they feel acknowledged before jumping into problem solving. To practice active listening during a conflict, follow these core steps. 1. Give your full attention. Remove distractions. Put away your phone, step away from your email, and face the speaker. Control your mindset. Stop formulating your rebuttal while they are speaking. Focus solely on taking in their perspective. Use nonverbal cues. Maintain eye contact, nod, and keep your body language open and relaxed to show you are engaged. 2. Reflect and validate. Paraphrase. Repeat the main points in your own words, such as just to clarify, you are concerned that, to confirm your understanding. Acknowledge feelings. Name the emotion you are sensing. Validating their feelings, for example, I hear how frustrating this situation has been for you, diffuses defensiveness without necessarily agreeing with their stance. 3. Ask clarifying questions. Use open-ended questions to dig deeper into the root cause of the issue, such as, can you tell me more about how this impacts your workload? Avoid interrogating, use questions to show curiosity about their point of view rather than to poke holes in their argument. And 4. Summarize and collaborate. Once the speaker is finished, summarize the core issues and feelings you've gathered. After they confirm you've understood their side correctly, transition into problem solving by focusing on shared interests and mutually beneficial solutions. The third best practice is to separate people from the problem. Focus the conversation on specific behaviors, facts, and the impact on the team's work, rather than attacking personalities or beliefs. Effectively separating the people from the problem involves addressing 3 common people categories: perception, emotion, and communication. This can be done by addressing perceptions. Disagreements often stem from differing viewpoints and interpretations of reality. Avoid blaming. Do not attribute the problem to the other person's character or intent. Validate perspectives. Acknowledge their viewpoint verbally so they feel understood. For example, say, it sounds like you are concerned about project deadlines. Discuss perceptions. Explicitly talk about the different ways you and the other person view the situation. Managing emotions. When conflict arises, people often feel attacked, leading to defensive reactions. Recognize and legitimize emotions. Accept that feelings, anger, fear, frustration, are natural parts of the conflict and are valid for the person experiencing them. Allow ventilation. Let the other party express their frustrations without interrupting or taking their words as a personal attack. Do not react to emotional outbursts. Stay calm and focused. Respond to the underlying issue rather than the emotional delivery. Improving communication. Poor communication leads to misunderstandings and escalates conflict. Listen actively. Focus on exactly what the other person is saying rather than planning what you will say next. Speak with purpose. Instead of trying to defend your position, talk about yourself and your needs. Use statements like "I feel," or "my concern is," rather than "you did." Separate the relationship from the substance. View the other person as a partner in solving a mutual dilemma, not as the adversary. And finally, summarize and collaborate. Generate a win-win outcome. Focuses on deep solutions where no one loses. Ensure there are shared inputs. Everyone takes part in making the final choice. and instills stronger bonds. Builds trust and improves long-term ties. Next is to establish ground rules. When bringing parties together, set clear, respectful boundaries. Define shared goals and what is needed from each person to move forward effectively. Developing a structured approach allows all parties to feel heard and respected. Implementing the following core guidelines optimizes this process. Behavioral boundaries. Tackle problems, not people. Focus on resolving the specific issue at hand rather than attacking a person's character. Maintain respectful communication. Avoid yelling, interrupting, or using personal insults. Avoid accusatory language. Use I statements to express feelings, such as I feel frustrated when, instead of blaming you statements. Process and participation. One speaker at a time. Allow each person to finish their thought completely before responding. Stay on one topic. Address a single issue at a time to prevent confusion and overwhelming the conversation. Assume positive intentions. Approach the dialogue trusting that the other party wants to find a healthy resolution. And de-escalation strategies. Agree to take timeouts. If emotions run too high or conversations become heated, agree to take a temporary break to cool down before resuming. And seek first to understand. Prioritize listening and clarifying the other person's perspective before trying to get your own point across. The first is the 5-5-5 method or rule is a structured communication tool used to de-escalate arguments and solve relationship conflicts. The core of this framework is to set strict boundaries around airing frustrations so that disputes don't spiral into endless, circular arguments. This is how the 5-5-5 method works. The first 5 minutes, partner A speaks. The first person shares their thoughts, feelings, and the specific problem. It is crucial to focus on personal feelings using I statements rather than accusing or blaming. The second 5 minutes, partner B speaks. The roles reverse. Partner A listens intently and without interruption while partner B shares their perspective. In the third 5 minutes, there is an open discussion. Both partners come together to brainstorm possible compromises and move forward in a positive manner. To make the 5-5-5 technique effective, consider these guidelines. No interruptions. The listener's only job is to hear the other person out and try to understand their point of view. Use a timer. Keep the 5-minute block strictly enforced. Using a stopwatch prevents a heated 15-minute exercise from turning into a 45-minute blame game. Focus on I. Avoid using you always or we never language. Center the conversation on how the situation makes you feel, not what your partner did wrong. And write it down. If you are having trouble expressing yourself, consider drafting a brief outline of your feelings or compromise ideas before the timer starts. The next technique is the Accord model. The Accord model is a highly effective, 6-step interpersonal conflict resolution framework designed to help managers and teams de-escalate tension, understand diverse perspectives, and collaboratively reach a sustainable agreement. The Accord model is a framework utilized to navigate tough conversations by acknowledging the issue, clarifying the root cause, creating a safe space, opening the floor for all perspectives, reviewing options, and deciding on action steps. The 6 distinct phases of the Accord model provide a clear roadmap for communication. They are: 1. Ask. Initiate the conversation by inviting the involved parties to share their perspective. Frame your questions with neutrality and openness to understand the root cause of the issue without immediately assigning blame. 2. Clarify. Synthesize and rephrase what you have heard to confirm you understand the core issue. This step requires active listening and ensures that both you and the other party are aligned on what the true conflict is. 3. Check. Assess the emotional state and needs of the individuals involved. Check in with them to see if they feel heard and respected, which is vital for de-escalating heightened tensions before attempting to solve the problem. 4. Open. Brainstorm potential solutions in an open-minded, collaborative environment. Encourage the conflicting parties to contribute ideas without immediately criticizing or shutting down suggestions. 5. Resolve. Select a mutually agreeable solution from the options generated. Ensure that the selected path forward is actionable, addresses the core concerns, and is supported by both parties. And 6. Document. Summarize the agreed-upon solution, outline clear next steps, and set a time frame for a follow-up discussion to evaluate how well the resolution is working in practice. Another way of approaching tense situations objectively is the neutral fact-finding method to investigate the root problem without assigning blame or showing favoritism. Neutral fact-finding is an alternative dispute resolution, or ADR process where a mutually agreed-upon, unbiased third party investigates specific disputed facts. By removing stakeholder bias, it clarifies technical, scientific, or historical details to break deadlocks and facilitate settlement negotiations. Here is how the phases of the process. First is the selection phase. Both parties mutually select a neutral expert, or senior management, or a court appoints one if the parties cannot agree. The investigator must be free of bias and be capable of making fair, balanced, and neutral choices without unfair prejudice or slants. Next is investigation. The fact finder gathers evidence, reviews documents, interviews witnesses, and performs technical assessments. It is a step-by-step search of the verifiable proofs to identify the facts surrounding the situation. And finally, the report. The neutral expert issues a formal, objective report of their findings, detailing the exact truth of the situation. The report may or may not include recommendations. Depending on the origin and agreements, the findings could be binding. Regardless of the method, there will be an outcome. They can be binding or non-binding. Non-binding is where the findings or outcomes serve as an expert opinion. Parties use the objective data to inform their negotiations and reach a settlement, but neither is forced to accept the results. And binding is where the parties sign a prior agreement stating that they will accept the fact finder's determination as final, effectively resolving that specific aspect of the dispute. Implementing conflict management skills are vital for leaders because they build trust, emotional regulation, and prevent small disagreements from growing into major crises. These techniques turn handled friction into stronger trust and better problem solving and stronger collaboration. We hope you found this training video valuable. Please click the subscribe button to access additional FSTG training videos.